Welcome to Check In with Jason Lauritsen, a podcast where we explore how to create human, connected workplaces that employees love and that fuel organizational success. Now, today I have a special episode for you because it's Christmas week. And at least at the Lauritsen household, we celebrate Christmas. And so it seemed like an appropriate week to do something special, to maybe give you a gift, perhaps. I know maybe it'll be a gift for me. I don't know that Colton's feeling like it's a gift, but we'll see how this goes. So here's what I have for you today is I have an extra special guest. This is one of my favorite humans on the entire planet. Some might call him a mini-me. I don't know. He probably wouldn't like that. But this is Mr. Colton Lauritsen, my youngest son. Colton, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And we're going to talk about two things today. One of the things that I invited you, or I asked you if you'd be open to, is I wanted to talk a little bit with you about how you think about work, because a lot of the people that I work with in organizations we're always curious and talking about what's the next generation, what do they care about? What are they going to be like as employees? How are they going to change, what work means and how work works? And so I want to talk to you a little bit about how you think about work. You are going to be getting your first job likely here in the next few months. So I want to check in with you about that. And then I want to check in with you just for fun about Christmas, of course. We're going to do rapid fire Christmas style. Okay.
Oh.
You game?
I guess so.
You guess so. All right.
I don't have a choice.
That's true. You are committed. You said yes, and then after you thought about it, here you are. All right. So let's start with your job that's coming up, or that you're going to get. You think? I mean, obviously you don't have a job yet, but you're planning to get one in the next few months. How excited generally are you about the prospect of getting a job?
Well, I'm not really too excited, but I like money. I think money is very important, so a job helps with that, and it's just a new experience that I get to have. And yeah.
So it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. Well, so you're going to get a job because you need some money, or you want to get money, and probably, is it fair to say that most of the jobs you would get that aren't here working for me will probably be easier?
Yeah. Because I don't have anything, I have zero idea of what you do, so.
Well, no, when I'm talking about jobs I give you around the house.
Oh, yeah, chores. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, so you're going to get a job. You've been thinking about this. When you think about what a good job for a 15-year-old looks like, what are the important things? What are you thinking about? What's exciting, or what makes a job interesting to you?
The management, gives them, simple jobs to, make sure they gain their confidence when working a job, and then giving them more responsibility instead of just throwing them into, a situation where they're not really used to before. So
where does that come from? Because you haven't had a job before. So where do you pick up on that? Where have you heard that?
Just from other people, especially my sister.
Talking about her experience?
Yeah, as a lifeguard, yeah.
Okay. What other parts of it? What else about a job? And I'm just saying in general, as you're thinking about where you would want to work, what kinds of things are important to you?
Good money.
Good money. So good wages,
money,
of course.
Good money, working with people I know and people I like.
Okay.
And having good management.
All right. So that's the three buckets. Good manager, you get to work with people you know, or friends, or people that are good people to work with, and that they pay you well, or at least fairly. Correct. All right. So let's project down the road. Let's assume you get a job, and now you're a few months after it. You're working, things are moving along. How will you know that your job is working out?
Well, if I'm getting stable hours, they work with my schedule, and I'm happy with the job.
So you're enjoying it?
Yeah.
How will you know if it's working out for them?
If, their work at my job position is getting done. Like, if I do what they want me to do, then I guess I'm like doing a good job.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll tell you. Usually they tell you pretty quickly if you're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
That's something you tend to hear pretty quickly. What do you think, let's say 6 months later, a year later, you're into this new job. How do you think you would know if it was time to maybe get a new job or go find something different? How will you know if it's, should I stay or should I go?
Well, I have to check in with you first about the job, since you probably know more than me. And if I'm enjoying the job and working with my schedule, making sure like I can like get school done and like school work done and stuff like that, then yeah.
That'll work. All right. Well, I'm honored that you will check in with me to talk about it. I think that's it's always good to get sort of a external third-party perspective to sort of play back to you or help you think through things. So, okay. So that's near term, right? That's your first job that's coming up. I want to pick your brain a little bit about how you think about just sort of some things, like if we zoom back out and we think into the future, sort of when you start thinking about once you maybe come through college and you're getting jobs and you're working in jobs at that point in your life, your grown-up jobs, I guess. When you think about it, like when you think about that, what does it, in your mind, what does it look like to have a job? What does that mean? What kinds of things come to mind for you? Like, are there images? Are there ideas about...
Like an office worker.
Okay.
Like in like, just like office worker or like fast food worker or stuff like that. That's kind of what pops in my brain. It's not what's going to be my job.
Okay.
Because I'm going to shape what I'm going to do, but...
So what does that look like? When you say shape what you're going to do, what does that mean? Is that...
Make my own opportunities and start my own business.
Right out of school, you think?
Not right out of school. I'm probably going to... Since one of my friends wants to open like a car wash and like an auto shop, maybe help him build that up and then maybe start my own business with that backbone of money.
Interesting. So what is it about? What do you think? Let's talk about the difference between having a job working for someone else, right? Taking a job after school or after college, working for someone else, and working for yourself, having your own business. What's the difference? Why would it be more appealing to work for yourself?
Because you can shape what happens with the business. Like, if you're working for someone else, you can only do their work. You can do your own work if you have your own business.
So less freedom, less flexibility, less, what is it?
You can have more power and flexibility when you're working over it, and I think it'd be more enjoyable to like know what you're gonna work, like what you want to work. You kind of
get to... You're somewhat in charge of what you do when you are working for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously something about just the experience of working for someone else or working in an office job or working in an organization doesn't appeal to you. What specifically about it is it? Is it only that you don't get to pick what you work on or have more control on that, or is there more to it than that?
So wait, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, like when you think about if you were to go to work for someone else, right? So you took a job, I don't know, it doesn't have to be an office job. It could be any kind of job working for someone else. Is there something specifically about working for someone else or working for an organization that doesn't appeal to you? Or is it just that owning your own business sounds more interesting?
I feel like just owning my own business sounds more interesting to me.
Interesting. So it's not necessarily negative. It's just...
Yeah.
All right. That's fair.
Nothing negative against like a public job. It's just having that own business just seems more appealing to me.
Okay. Well, so let's say early on out of school, you weren't in a position to own your own business, right? So you were going to have to go to work for someone else, get a job working someplace or for someone else. What do you think constitutes a good job at that point? Like in your mind, you've interacted with lots of people that have jobs. Almost all the grown-ups in your life have jobs. Teachers have jobs. Everybody, they have jobs that they do. What is the difference between a good job and maybe a bad job or a not as good job?
If the job you're working at helps you pay like bills and stuff, helps you pay for like your essentials and your needs, and if you're enjoying the job, if that's really like what you really want to do. Okay,
so you can pay your bills and take care of the things that matter to you. You're making enough money to make a living, and you enjoy it. It's not a miserable thing every day. Those are the two big things. All right. So what do you think, and I don't know, maybe you don't have an answer for this, but when you say enjoy it, is it just about the work that you do? Is it where you work, who you work with? Is there anything that comes to mind for you about what that would mean?
I mean, enjoyment is mostly all of those things. Like if you like working that type of job, and if you like working with the people at your job and stuff like that.
That all helps. It's kind of like probably being on, like your experience being on a team, right? Sports teams. Some teams you liked, some teams you didn't like. There's a big difference between the two. What do you think was the biggest difference when you think about teams?
Just how like much teamwork you have and like how connected you are.
With your teammates?
Yeah.
And that you're all kind of same goal, working, everybody's kind of aligned on what you're trying to accomplish? Yeah? Okay. Good. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that like people like me, nerds that talk about work all the time like this, are always talking about or interested in is how will the next generation be different as employees when they start working or if we hire you into our organization. So I'm curious, what do you think will be important to your generation when you think about you and your friends and your sisters, that group? What do you think will be more important about work to you than maybe is to my generation or the older generations ahead of you? Do you think there's things that you care about or maybe will be more important to you than it has been to others?
Probably hours is like the big thing, since there's a lot of comparison between like your workforce generation and my workforce generation, and it's like the differences between like how prices have changed for a job, and I bet like hours would be a big thing, and who we work with would also be more of a...
So you think, so when you say hours, do you mean specifically like how much money you can make? Or do you have the opportunity, or is it not, or is it like that we work too many hours and you don't want to work that many hours and still be able to pay bills? Like what is it about the hours?
It's just probably the flexibility in hours on when we can and can't work.
Flexibility would be important.
Yeah.
And then you said who you work with. You think like the people knowing who you're going to be working with, or getting to know, sort of understanding who you're going to be working with before you even take a job will be important? Or will it be the ability to make friends once you're there? Like what does that look like? What do you mean?
Just ability to work with others would be a big thing in this next generation, because we're really like type of social generation, and so I think like having people that we could know and be good friends with there would be a big thing.
Okay. I think that'll be surprising to some people, because oftentimes the older people like to talk about your generation as like that you somehow aren't as interested in social, or all you do is sit on your devices. And so it's interesting that you say that you think it's even that much more important for your group. Do you think that is because you do play video games and you're on your devices and digitally connected, but maybe it makes it even that much more important that if you are going to work together in teams or come together in a group, that it's good people that you like, and maybe that's where your friends are going to come from?
Yeah, I actually do think that. Because, like, sitting on our devices is, like, not really to the extent of what, like, forces us what we can and can't do for a job, because we can always sit down the device. At least I can.
Sure. Yeah. And it's important to have relationships, right? Being able to connect with people. All right, last question about this is, what do you think when you think about how, right? If you think about how you work or how you will work in the future, what do you think will be different in terms of how your generation will show up to work and do work and be able to accomplish work than sort of how we do it today?
I feel like just in like a different scenario that we'd be getting up to work later from like the morning and the afternoon, and then working more into the night, like 11 o'clock to midnight.
So you want more flexibility on when you work. What do you think about how? Do you think there are tools or ways that you think about work or ways you get things done that are different than maybe the way, my generation does or the generation between us?
Yeah, I think it depends on the job, though.
I suppose. But what in general? Like if you're using technology, let's say.
Like if you're working in like NVIDIA or Microsoft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Working in like more of a team instead of just like individual work.
Okay, so you think it'll be more team-based. Do you think your relationship and experience with technology will change how you work? Or how so?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that we would be relying more on technology to do our work. And I'm not saying like AI and stuff like that, but like just technology in general to help us do our work.
Yeah, and even if I think about even with like video games and how like you can communicate and collaborate and cooperate with friends or people you don't even know inside of a video game to accomplish a goal, whereas that is not the kind of thing that my generation knows how to do. You do that very naturally, so that'll be a really interesting thing to see how you bring that to the workplace. Well, thank you for allowing me to. I know these aren't this is the kind of stuff I think about all the time that you don't think about all the time, which is why, like I said, nerd. This is what I do. You don't have to do that, thankfully, every day. But thank you for coming in and talking to me about that. So let's do some fun stuff quickly. Let's talk about Christmas.
Okay.
Way more fun than talking about work, right?
Yeah.
So let's do some rapid fire Christmas questions for you. I have some rapid fire prepared so you can just, top of mind, whatever comes to mind. Let's just get to know Colton's Christmas preferences. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1. What is your favorite Christmas song?
Jingle Bell Rock.
Jingle Bell Rock. Good one. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Yes.
What is it?
Home Alone.
Home Alone. Good choice. What is your favorite Christmas tradition at our house?
Egg bake. Morning egg bake.
On Christmas Day. Egg bake. Had to be about food, of course.
Okay. Okay.
What is your best Christmas memory?
Probably opening my computer for the first time.
When you got your gaming PC?
And I know that's counterintuitive to what Christmas is all about, but like it brought me so much joy that day. And just like spending time with family too.
You use that gaming PC all the time. So it was a good gift.
It was a good gift.
It was a good gift. All right. And then finally, what is your best advice for someone to try to help them ensure they have a good Christmas? What piece of advice would you give them?
Give everybody a present. Even if it's like a card or giving a bone to the dog.
Just be generous.
Be generous.
Be generous. Be kind. I love it. What's your last question? I said it was the last question. Bonus question. What's your favorite thing about Christmas?
Probably Christmas morning. waking up on Christmas morning.
It is exciting, isn't it? I would have said snow usually. I love a white Christmas.
Yeah, but we're in the middle of Nebraska.
Sadly, we may be disappointed this year. So, Colton, here's how I end the podcast every time. I ask every guest this, so I have to ask you this. As we wrap up today, what one word best describes how you're feeling as we wrap up our conversation? One word.
Satisfied.
Satisfied. My word is curious. You made me very curious to learn more about how you think about work. So thank you. Thank you for spending time with me. I really appreciate it. I love that you're willing to do this with me. Your dad does crazy things and asks you to do crazy things, but thank you for that. And thank you for listening. I hope that something in here was interesting or insightful or maybe delightful. That's what Christmas is all about. So wishing you and yours an incredibly happy and restful and magical holidays. And please remember, just a reminder, as I always remind you, it's, I think, really, really important this time of year to reach out and check in with those who matter most to you. This is a tough time of year for some people. As much as it is a great time of year and fun time of year for us, it can be hard for others. So make sure you're checking in on those that you care about. Might be the most important thing that you do during the holiday season. Till next time,